Hi, welcome to Discovery Quests. I hope you all are doing great today.
Napoleon's 5 greatest marshals. The best of the best, Napoleon Bonaparte was one of the greatest generals in world history, but he owed much of his success to the marshals who served under him. In May 1804, after being proclaimed Emperor of the French, Napoleon Bonaparte awarded the title of Marshal of the French Empire to 18 of his generals. He would go on to appoint another 8 marshals before his second abdication in 1815. While Napoleon is often considered the greatest military commander of his time, many of his marshals were brilliant military leaders in their own right. This video highlights the careers of 5 of these men. Number 5. Louis-Nicolas Davout, the Iron Marshal. Marshal Louis-Nicolas Davout is often considered Napoleon's greatest subordinate commander. A strict disciplinarian who earned the nickname Iron Marshal, he was a master of defensive warfare, and his men often saw the heaviest fighting in Napoleon's greatest victories. Born in 1770 to a minor noble family, Davout was a junior officer in King Louis XV's army at the outbreak of the French Revolution in 1789. He was an enthusiastic supporter of revolutionary ideas and became a general in 1793, but was then imprisoned due to his aristocratic origins. Upon his return to the army in 1794, he befriended General Louis Desais in Germany and accompanied him on General Bonaparte's Egyptian campaign in 1798. Davout and Desais returned to France in March 1800, but the latter was killed at the Battle of Marengo in June. Marshal Davout's greatest hour came on October 14, 1806, in battle against the Prussians. Napoleon believed that the main Prussian army was concentrated around Jena and issued orders accordingly. While Napoleon did defeat a Prussian army at Jena, some 10 miles to the north at Auerstedt, Davout's 3rd Corps ran into the Duke of Brunswick's main Prussian army of 65,000 men. Despite being outnumbered almost 3-1, Davout not only repulsed the Prussian attacks, but launched a successful counterattack after Brunswick was mortally wounded, driving the Prussians from the field. Like most of the French army, Davout and his men suffered terribly during Napoleon's invasion of Russia in 1812. Although the Iron Marshal's Arc Corps managed to break the Russian front line at the Battle of Borodino on September 7th, Napoleon did not effectively exploit the breakthrough, allowing the Russians to retreat beyond Moscow in good order. After Napoleon withdrew from Moscow in October, Davout led the rearguard and sustained heavy losses at the Battle of Vyazma on November 3rd. Later that month, he suffered another mauling at Krasny, where his marshal's baton was captured by Russian Cossacks. Number 4. Jean Lannes, the French Achilles. A brave soldier and inspirational leader, Marshal Jean Lannes is ranked alongside Marshal Davout as one of the 2 greatest fighting generals among Napoleon's subordinates. He was a personal friend of the emperor, and his death in May 1809 left the emperor bereft. Born in Gascony in April 1769 to a family of modest means, Lannes was 4 months older than Napoleon. The two met during Bonaparte's first Italian campaign of 1796-97 and soon became close friends. After accompanying Napoleon to Egypt, Lannes joined him on his return to France in 1799 and was given command of the Consular Guard after the latter took power in November. At the Battle of Marengo on June 14th, Lannes commanded the French right and fell under heavy pressure before General Desais arrived with reinforcements to turn the tide of battle. Marshal Lannes's career reached a peak during the War of the Fourth Coalition against Prussia and Russia in 1806-07. At the Battle of Jena, Lannes commanded Napoleon's center and was the first to engage Prince Hohenlohe's Prussians. At Friedland on June 14, 1807, he enticed Bennigsen across the river Alle to engage him in battle. With only 10,000 men at the start of the engagement, Lannes fought an effective defensive action and allowed Napoleon to bring reinforcements into action, trapping Bennigsen against the river and gaining a decisive victory that ended the campaign. Having seized the initiative, Napoleon's troops advanced down the Danube and occupied Vienna on May 13th. With Archduke Charles's Austrians deployed on the plain across the Danube, Marshal Lannes crossed the river at Aspern on May 21st. On the morning of the 22nd, Lannes' men were on the verge of breaking through the Austrian center when they were thrown back by a strong counterattack led by the Archduke. Napoleon ordered his army to retreat, and Lannes was obliged to fight a rearguard action. That afternoon, he was mortally wounded by an Austrian cannonball which shattered his legs, dying on May 31st at the age of 40. Number 3. André Masséna, dear child of victory. When Napoleon created the Marshalate in 1804, André Masséna was surprised to learn that there were 18 men on the list. As one of the most successful generals of the French Revolutionary Wars, Masséna was disappointed that he had to share his glory with so many other men. Masséna was born in 1758 in Nice, then part of the Kingdom of Sardinia, and grew up speaking Italian. Nevertheless, he joined the French army and had already served in French uniform for over a decade when revolution broke out. In 1796, he performed brilliantly as Napoleon's subordinate in Italy during the campaign of 1796-97, spearheading the French attack that defeated the Austrians at the Battle of Rivoli on January 14, 1797, before defeating a final Austrian attempt to relieve the siege of Mantua at La Favorita. For these exploits, Bonaparte hailed Masséna as the dear child of victory. In 1798, while Bonaparte was away in Egypt, Masséna commanded the Army of Switzerland. Although Russian Field Marshal Alexander Suvorov's blistering campaign in Italy exposed Masséna's southern flank and obliged him to evacuate Zurich in June 1799. In late September, he retook Zurich after defeating General Rimsky-Korsakov's Russians before they could be reinforced by Suvorov. After Napoleon came to power, Masséna was given command of the Army of Italy. From April to June 1800, he held on desperately in Genoa while besieged by the Austrians. By the time Masséna agreed terms on June 4th, Napoleon surprised the Austrians by crossing the Alps into northern Italy, defeating them at Marengo 10 days later. In 1810, Masséna went to Spain to take command of the Army of Portugal, with orders to drive the Duke of Wellington's redcoats out of Lisbon. After suffering heavy casualties at the Battle of Busaco on September 27th, Masséna followed Wellington into the mountains and was astonished to discover that Wellington had built an extensive network of fortifications known as the Lines of Torres Vedras. After languishing for 3 months, Masséna retreated into Spain in March 1811. A second invasion of Portugal in May was defeated at Fuentes de Oñoro, prompting Masséna's dismissal. He died in April 1817, just shy of his 59th birthday. Number 2. Louis-Alexandre Berthier, the indispensable Marshal. Unlike the other marshals on this list, Louis-Alexandre Berthier was not a supremely talented field commander. Nevertheless, he was Napoleon's most important marshal, serving as his chief of staff for 18 years between 1796 and 1814. When Napoleon promulgated his list of marshals in 1804, Berthier's name was at the top of the list. Louis-Alexandre Berthier was born in November 1753 at Versailles to a military family. After joining the French army, he served on General Rochambeau's staff in the American Revolutionary War in the early 1780s and was present at the Siege of Yorktown. After the French Revolution, he served in senior staff positions and was appointed Chief of Staff of the Army of Italy in 1795. When Napoleon took command the following year, the two men began one of the most successful military partnerships in history. Berthier helped Napoleon develop a system of corps d'armée, in which each marshal led an independent force of around 20,000–30,000 men, with its own infantry, cavalry, and artillery. With each corps taking separate roads but remaining within close contact, the army could move much faster. Each corps could be expected to stand their ground in a defensive battle, giving time for neighboring corps to come to their aid. Berthier was at the center of this system, coordinating movements on the operational chessboard during Napoleon's greatest campaigns against Austria, Prussia, and Russia in 1805–07. Following Napoleon's return from Elba, Berthier accompanied King Louis XVIII into exile in Ghent. He then returned to Paris to join Napoleon, but was rejected for his questionable loyalties, prompting him to go to his in-laws at Bamberg Castle in Germany. On June 1st, 1815, Berthier fell out of a window to his death in what was most likely an accident. A fortnight later, Napoleon was defeated at Waterloo. Number 1. Louis-Gabriel Suchet, the Peninsular Marshal. The Peninsular War, 1807-14, was a bloody sideshow to the Napoleonic Wars that imposed a heavy cost on Napoleon in terms of men and resources. Although the emperor sent some of his finest veterans to pacify Spain and drive the British into the sea, his marshals were unable to completely restore order. The man who came closest was Louis-Gabriel Suchet. Born in Lyons in 1770, Suchet joined the army following the French Revolution. He first came to General Bonaparte's attention at the Siege of Toulon in 1793, where he led a valiant attack against an enemy battery. After being transferred to the Army of Italy in 1795, he served under General Masséna at Arcole and Rivoli. While Napoleon was in Egypt, Suchet served as chief of staff to General Barthélemy Joubert in Italy, where the latter was killed at the Battle of Novi in August. After Bonaparte took power as first consul, Suchet returned to the Army of Italy.
That's it for today. We will meet with another interesting topic very soon.